Mid-October 2023 with the Lovelocks of Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trails. And they will be rough cut. Yes, I'll start with a standard introduction for those who haven't seen the videos. This is where we live at 22 Armitage Court in Sunninghill. Warning signs about fierce guard cats. This is the spot where GPS was tested, so-called Robin's Corner, from the late 1980s onwards. And yes, at this spot, and that's the bit of garden sculpture that June got Robin for a birthday present a couple of years ago now. So we come down there, front drive. Yes, point out the website gpss.co.uk that was for business decades ago, now is just hobbies and charitable causes. And yes, there's the bicycle that I might get round to learning how to ride. Yeah, project last year, the garden forts for fierce guard cats. Toadie's off somewhere else at the moment, and that was a project last year. And with all these projects, it's very useful if you've got the right people helping you. And so we come down to Snippy's robot boat. Is the most important hobby project for years now, and a little bit of progress has been made on that. Yes, there's the old bits ripped out from his last attempt. He survived 6 weeks at sea last year, and there's the camper that was used to transport him down to the seaside for his launch, and there's the battle damage. June said Robin did it, Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. Yes, some of you have seen this stuff before, but you can skip over it, can't you? Right, I get now to the important bit, which is a legal obligation on health and safety. Yes, there have been warning signs for years about cameras. That's information about the robot boat. But probably the most important sign is not just the cameras, it's the water squirters. And you need to read the small print about water squirters. There, I've done the health and safety. So now we can go into the house and you'll get a quick glance of the place. June's in the kitchen, and yes, got a bit of progress done on that plastering this year. And June's watching tennis, just for a change. Yeah. There's Samantha. What are they talking about?
I don't know. She hasn't said. No.
Oh goodness, that's probably organising the tennis, I expect. Excuse me, Samantha. Right. Into the games room. Now, it'd be lovely if we could get this back to what it was many years ago. This is where Samantha works from home. This is being shot at the weekend. And of course, all this junk here, it's not just junk, it's materials and tools. And sometime, with the right paid help, we'll be able to put things into the right places. And most of those places are things like laboratories and workshops in the garden. Yes, some of that is robot boat related. Peanuts that are put out, you'll see that on the photo trails. So, part of the tour of the house enables people to case the joint if you were unfortunate not to consider any, I won't say too much. Right, yes, what we have on there is off a PC. June, this is June's television, and so she tends to spend time here. You'll see that on the photo trails. This is my naughty corner, and the main thing on that is the closed circuit TV, where I can enjoy any visits from typically wildlife. Yes, a few other odds and ends here, including I've been forced to do a bit of work when I can in the lounge, because that's enough of that. Right, I think that's about it. I will say now that this video will have what some would quite reasonably call propaganda at the end of it, because it's a couple of clips that were shot early in the year and still apply. One was the prophetic words of James Lovelock, and he basically said global warming is going to happen. and you haven't seen anything yet. And the other that some people may chuckle about is the fact that I still don't have a driving licence. I'm still waiting for the DVLA. But whatever happens on that, I have some suggestions on what might be useful to everybody, including within the DVLA. But that's enough of that, you'll be glad to know. So, out into the garden and into those long photo trails. Monday the 9th of October 2023. Just a summary first. Yes, the usual things, tennis, and I wrapped up the video for early October. Went to the dump for taking some old sofas for the bandsaws there, and spent some quality time with them, including their doggy Romeo. Saw the work they were doing in the garden, and back home, and they watched the television. I popped down to the Comrades Club, forced myself to have a glass of wine, and back home. So that's the summary. So now into the photo trail. Yeah, June played the tennis, got warning of her coming back on the tracker. Yes, all the junk where Samantha works. And yeah, Michelle had a very quick 5-minute trip to the hospital for an x-ray, Heatherwood Hospital. Very efficient now, it seems. I work on the video, which was the early October photo trails. June rustles me up some lunch, my favourite, scrambled egg on toast. Oh yes, decide to get a really dumb Nokia phone as an alternative to the smartphone I've been using. Michelle doing a bit of work in the garden. So, first my challenge in reading the small print and deciding where the SIM card goes into it wasn't that difficult, just had to put it in the right place. And yeah, and there's a pussycat. Then it was time to get my car out. June speaks to Belle. She says, I've got to pump up the tyres. Slight delay in popping round there. And I'm just about got my Nokia phone working. And off to the dump at Bagshot. Yes, put the sofas, look perfectly good sofas to me, but they're there. So off back home, and after a quick visit home, yeah, we popped round to the bandsaw, spent some quality time with their doggy Romeo, have some coffee, and see the work they're doing in the garden. Yes, Michelle likes Romeo too. Yes, Raj. Hello, Raj. Enjoyed his birthday party. Yeah, back home. I wrap up that video onto the YouTube from early October photo trails. Lady, Michelle's pussycat, guarding the premises. And June Russell's up pizza. Have a look a bit at the closed circuit TV. Then I decide, time to pop down to the village, get a bit of exercise, stretching my legs for that long walk, and into the Comrades Club, force myself to have a glass of wine before going back home. And that is pretty well the end of that photo trail. Tuesday the 10th of October 2023, first a summary of the photo trail. Yes, bit of work on the boat, not a lot, but basically how the sails are attached. And June and Michelle decided to go off for a walk around the village and back. And what else happened? Well, not a lot. Cats relaxing. They're watching the television. I'm relaxing, watching the closed circuit TV and the foxes. And Tuesday is the day that the graph of total deaths is updated. So now into the photo trail itself. Yes, lady on guard duty. That's Michelle's cat. bit of work. I had to consult some of my documentation, if you call it that, in order to see where things went, such as the blog, but lots of other things, videos, to see where strings were, and secured some of the fastening with fast glass resin, and finished off with the International Perfection paint. These are all materials that have been tested. And yeah, phone call to make my appointment with for the pub grub the following day at the Beefeaters. Had a bit of a doze, I have to confess. Oh yes, had a phone call from Paul, that was nice. And what else? Yes, the women are off on their walk, so in the background I had that on the screen, and every now and again I have a look where they were, and it was quite useful. And make a guess, where might they go next? Yes, across the victory field. And yeah, I was probably listening to the Radio 4 News then. And back in the village, I thought they might have been dallying there to get some takeaway, but it wasn't the case. So, sure enough, get early warning within seconds of appearing on the closed circuit TV. Have a look at the track by logging in and look at it in more detail. It's quite useful. Oh yeah, Michelle spending time with her cat Lady. By the way, they caught a mouse. We're not sure whether it was Toadie caught the mouse and gave it to Lady, and then it was noticed and they managed to let it go. Hope it was okay. Yes, that's Bentley over. Probably came over here for his dinner. And so I just relax now, watching the closed circuit TV. This is the foxes arriving live. It gets dark earlier, so they arrive earlier. So they're watching the women are watching the TV, and I'm watching the closed circuit TV. And yeah, that was interesting. And Tuesday is the day that the ONS released the total deaths graph, which is useful for things other than COVID. So that's the end of the photo trail. Wednesday the 11th of October 2023. Complete mixture of things. Yes, the usual testing of trackers, used also to see where people are. Yeah, needed to change batteries in one of the trackers. And it was pub lunch as well, June doing the driving, since Robin still doesn't have his driving licence. So that was at the Cricketers, and sleeping on duty on the robot boat. And yeah, important bit was getting the artwork, which I eventually found using DOS, believe it or not. So I was able to print a replacement of what goes in under the lid. And while I was about it, I ordered 2 more boxes, since I couldn't find the spare if I've got one. And at the end of the day, with the pussycats watching the closed circuit TV. So, into the photo trail itself. Yeah, a picture of the lounge and the contact page, that spare Spot 2 tracker, and the other tracker, which is destined for the robot boat, and that one wasn't working. But what was good is their software did actually say it's functioning okay, but the battery needs to be replaced. So that is the answer there. Yep, going out, having a look at the boat in the front porch, and yes, my bicycle, get round to trying it. Yes, there's the cat fort, and the little light operated by a switch where Toadie sits shows that he's inside. Yes, what do you expect? Sleeping on duty. And yes, you would have seen that before, the sculpture. And they get back from their tennis. Yes, the website, just hobbies and charitable causes. Now, was business many years ago. Yeah, so I'm looking for the tracker. Where could it be? Ah, yes. When we used the car, my car, it was in there. So, take it out, put it on the Robin's Corner test position, and see what happens. Yeah, we get a position from it. Yeah, that's good. But the battery is still low. June finds a screwdriver of the right type, because I couldn't find it amongst all my junk. Check the voltage, sure enough it is low, 5.49 volts. There you go, 6.34 volts. That's what it should be. So, replace the batteries, put it back at the test position, and yeah, put things back where they belong, even if that is just a pile of junk, which will get sorted out sometime or other, perhaps with the right paid help. So that tracker seems to be working. Put it back where it's been carried most of the time for the last year or so, and yeah, and time for pub lunch. So that's where it is, just down the road, 7 minutes away. Did a bit more work on the boat, yeah, trimmed off, put the scissors back in the right place, June's sewing box, yeah, it's got to do that, and yeah, the silicone sealant is used also to the string. Pointing out my tracker there, yeah, so anybody interested where Robin is or where his tracker is, just goes to the contact page and taps on that one. It looks like Richard arriving for pub lunch, and he points out some useful information about what needs to be done for solving those problems with the leaking and things. Whether Judy listened to him is something else. Then off to the beefeater, and interesting conversations, particularly with John. He had some work done on his boat, and look at all the weed that had grown on it while it was moored. So he got that job done very quickly and efficiently, a sensible price by the sound of it. And looked at the menu, yes, they seem to have changed the small print of the menu. You have to pay extra for the naan bread for a curry. That's the way they do it. Yeah, Terry gave us the lift back, came back for coffee past the Pussycats and chatting about various things. Yes, I showed the hair trip on the tracker that I wear, and I think I actually went out and did a quick little demonstration by walking up the road to the lamp post and back again, and yeah, it showed it well enough. Women watching tennis in the kitchen, the lads leave, and so perhaps a bit more time on the... Oh yes, that was an interesting thing, difference between Google imagery and one of the other trackers, and shows the base at Bray Lake. Interesting call from Paul, and yeah, had a bit of a doze. I work so hard, I have to catch up occasionally, you know. What else is there? Yes, so that the mast can rotate in the hull, there's a bit of oil used. That makes it so that the sails operate a little more sensitively in light wind. Yeah, blurry pictures taken in fading light of me putting out the peanuts, including the front porch. And check out Toady. Yeah, the light says he must be, there he is, yeah, relaxing in his fort. And that's the lid. Now I spent quite some time trying to find where on earth have I got the labels, if I did print any spare ones, but more importantly the files used to print the labels. And I spent a lot of time of hunting around without really making much progress. Time for dinner. June had rustled up some food. I sit in my naughty corner, do a bit more searching, and made a bit more progress. Yeah, on the blog, for example, it did point out how the lid was made, or how the box was made in terms of the product, Oh yes, rain coming in. Yeah, don't think I'll go down to the Comrades Club. Anyhow, that was the breakthrough. I used DOS, and within seconds it told me, yes, there's your file or files, and so I was able to print that. However, I wasn't able to find the right size box, so they're watching some stupid horror movie. What do you expect? So looking a bit more on the blog, and I was able to find the actual product. There we go, Firebox and the reference. So bit searching and got what looks a sensible buy. So £17.90 for 2 of them. Should come by Saturday. So even if I've got some, at least there's spares there for extra boats. And then relaxing, watching the foxes arriving for the peanuts, both at the back and on the front porch. And the cats join us. Lady, Michelle's pussycat, relaxing in the rocking chair. And yes, she liked that. And Tony comes over as well. And so that's the end of that photo trail. Thursday the 12th of October 2023. Not a lot happened really, just shopping and what else? Yeah, pussycats like Toadie and Lady, Michelle's cat. They're watching the television. I'm looking at the closed circuit TV, things like the foxes coming for the peanuts. And put out some more peanuts. They watch that stupid program, boring. Right, that's the end of that. Now into the actual photo trail. Yeah, tracker worked quite well. I had a doze, several dozes, and shows June on the way back from the shopping. Comes out quite well. Yeah, there she is coming along the London road, coming into Ascot, and yeah, through South Ascot to the near the Barristede and home. In fact, they appear on the closed circuit TV a few seconds earlier. So help June in with the shopping into the kitchen, and I decided to change the layout of the closed circuit TV since we've only got 4 cameras working at the moment. And June and Michelle go off for a walk. I get a phone call from Paul, and most of the time just relaxing with the cats helping me, perhaps even a little doze. They come back, and what else is there? Well, oh yes, June rustles up some food. I take some of it into my naughty corner where I can relax. They come in and watch, I think it was Angel that they were watching on the TV. Boring, yes, that's my opinion. And yeah, there's the foxes, and enjoying the peanuts that are left out for them. Make a few notes of anything interesting. They continue to watch that. I put out some more peanuts, and yes, cats join you to relax. I listen to the Radio 4 news, sad news from Israel and Gaza, Palestine. That's the end of that photo trail. Friday the 13th of October 2023, first a minute summary of what happened. Yes, eventually got to put a photo trail video together from the wedding, and also did what else? Yeah, tested the tracker that June wears, and yeah, checked out the rain. The other tracker, checked that as well. Put out the peanuts early, and did a little bit more work on the boat, which relates to the label of the lid that got faded over quite a few years of use. Then had my dinner in the naughty corner while they watch the TV. I go down to the Comrades Club, force myself to have a glass of wine, test the tracker I'm wearing, and get back. Yes, they're still watching that Angel, I think it is, on the TV, and joined by the Pussycats. And yeah, there's the Foxes. That was over the last 24 hours. So that's the summary. Now into the actual photo trail. And I suppose if there was anything important, it was actually eventually getting around to the photo trails, the most important being the photos from Alan. And that went up onto YouTube, and the good result was the subtitles were available soon after. So yeah, checking out trackers, the white tracker that June tends to wear. So she's off to tennis. Yes, that light indicates Toadie's in his fort, sleeping on duty, as you might expect. So, yes, I spoke a bit earlier though, just in the process of going off, and there's the tracker that June normally keeps in her handbag. So any journey like this can be used to check trackers. That's the Spot Satcoms tracker that is destined to go in the robot boat, and that doesn't update so often, but it's good information. So that's from the pendant tracker that is a pensioner tracker, or the same sort of things used for tracking pets, and shows arriving. That was an interesting peculiarity, which is that movement across the court must have been random, because the tracker, or the handbag with the tracker, was always in the handbag in the car, apparently. Right, so that was me checking the other tracker, Satcoms tracker, more recent imagery on it, putting out the peanuts early, including the bottom bridge, and also the porch, and yeah, glimpse of the boat there. Looks as though it's coming on to rain. That's where the rain radar is useful. And yeah, there's them arriving back. Got warning of that on the tracker. So they come in, yeah, glimpse of the boat. And that's the work I made a bit more work on. And so we're swapping but doing different things here. Like the logging into the site to show the history of the track and the pensioner tracker. And yeah, back home okay. And then the other one, the Satcoms tracker, doesn't update as often. That's why we've got it set for power reasons. That seems to be working good as well. Listen to the Radio 4 sad news from Palestine and Israel, and also the Henry Kissinger interview that was interesting. And work on that label that's got very faded over years of robot boat attempts, and yeah, give the box a wash out. It's always possible I end up changing that lid, but let's just see what we can do. Right, that paint, I couldn't get rid of the stains of that off the lid. And yes, Toadie's joined us for dinner by the look of it. So a bit more progress on those labels to replace the old one and encapsulate them. And then of course use of June's scissors to cut them off. And she says put things in the right place, which means yes, the scissors in the drawer and the paper in the right places in this right scrap bin. All very complicated for me, especially when I had to get the scissors out again. So June's rustled up some dinner. I take it into my naughty corner in the lounge so that I can watch the closed circuit TV live and also look back. Yes, listen to the sad Radio 4 news from Palestine. Yeah, boring television they choose to watch. And joined by the cats, Toadie. Yes, looks like I decide to take a walk down to the village, get a bit of exercise, stretch my legs, go into the Sunninghill Comrades Club, have a glass of wine, check the tracker that I'm wearing. That's the black Go-Top tracker, and that shows me in the right place in the club. And then back home, And yeah, they're watching the same boring rubbish on the television. And there's the cats relaxing in the lounge too. And so let me check the closed circuit TV. So that's over the previous night. And yeah, there's the fox coming for the peanuts. Yes. And that's the end of that photo trail. Saturday the 14th of October 2023. First a minute summary of what is about 6-minute photo trail. Yes, the usual mixture of testing trackers, such as June taking it with her to tennis in the morning with Samantha. Yes, a bit more work on the robot boat, like the lid and some stickers. Where do I have to put those stickers? Yeah, on the sails. Their trip down to Guildford to do some shopping. And yes, saw them going into the clothing shop. That's a surprise. And they got back okay. Yeah, just here. And then dinner, video chat with Gary and Saskia. Foxes appearing live on the closed circuit TV. Then watching television, me going down to the Comrades Club, force myself to have a glass of wine, back home, and yeah, still same rubbish on the television with the cats. And that's the summary. So into the photo trail itself. So what have we got here? Yeah, June's playing tennis. And I do a bit of video processing of videos such as this from the previous day, and yeah, see them on their way back from the tennis. It's a good check of the trackers because I'm finding out things all the time, even about the same product. It's how they behave under different circumstances, like where the tracker is. And so they get back, and yeah, that's the tracker that June normally carries around with her. And the boat, so that's coming along slowly, and oh yeah, that's the processing of the video from the day before. There's a delivery. That delivery is very relevant to the boat. It's new boxes, even though I'll probably only use the lid, and one of them was free. They said they'd already opened it, so free of charge. So I thought, right, I'll just change the lid and of course the new labels inside. But the question is, where am I going to put those labels? I'd see that I'd done the artwork ages ago, and I decided the only practical place was on the sale. So the women are off on their shopping trip to Guildford. So I thought, yeah, use that as a means. Yes, about a 40-minute run down to the middle of Guildford. So anybody interested could say, well, let's see where they are. And if you leave it on the page, then it'll follow route down. And generally it's pretty accurate, within a few yards of the road they're on. But of course, every now and again, all sorts of things happen, which means that the position won't be as one would expect. So I also found it was interesting. I didn't spend much time looking at it. Occasionally I glance at it, and going past places like restaurants that fairly local that one didn't know were there, businesses that have popped up on the net, and so there's often interesting new things on one's doorstep. So now going into the other tracker, this is the Spot Satcoms tracker, and also a quick chat with Samantha just to confirm where they were, because it hadn't updated, but it was because I think at the time they were inside the multi-storey car park. Bit more work on the boat. The clear silicon sealant, I think that was. It's all a matter of making sure those stickers stay stuck on wherever they are on the boat. There they are going into the clothing shop. What do you expect? And then a chat with June, and yeah, that's an interesting guy that I expect to see again very soon. And right, where are we on to next? Yes, they're on their way back. Most of this will be of no interest to anybody, but can be useful, surprisingly, sometime after. And yeah, coming back through wherever that is, and Bisley that is, I recognise. Yeah, going up to the near the M3. There's the Pussycats relaxing as always, and coming up to the Windmill pub. So not far from home, only a few minutes from home now. There we are, practically home. So let's look on the closed circuit TV across the room, and yes, there they are, just arriving. Toadie waking up again. So they're back, and yeah, say hello to Toadie, and they're back at the correct position, just here. Curious what the time the sunset was, but there wasn't time to go out anywhere to see it come down properly. Listen to the Radio 4 news, and yes, the cats relaxing, and yeah, a little bit more work, like those labels they're to do showing the power. So the question is, I had to consult old blogs and photographs to see, in order to put that label in the right place, hello lady, but something's going on, the food has been rustled up, and a video WhatsApp chat with Saskia and Gary. So all these things going on at the same time, no room to do things in the kitchen. So after a brief chat with Gary and Saskia, I go in and watch live on the TV the fox arriving for his dinner as well, the peanuts. Hello Mr. Fox. And yeah, and then back in the kitchen, and Michelle has decided that Lady wants to continue the video chat, although there wasn't a lot of chat from the cat. Bit more work on putting the labels for the power on the boat, and they're watching that Angel, I think it is, on the telly. Boring. Lady finds it exactly the same, and there's the fox. So I'll give him a few minutes to have a bit more of his dinner or supper before I decide. Yeah, I've done a check overnight as well of the closed circuit TV, anything interesting. In recent days it's tended to be the foxes and not the hedgehogs, so they're probably going into hibernation. So off down to the village to stretch my legs, get a bit of exercise, go into the Comrades Club, have a glass of wine. Yes, there was rugby on the TV, and yeah, check that the tracker worked. Anybody interested? Oh, Robin's in the Comrades Club. So back home, and yes, past the robot boat in the porch. Yes, June's playing video games and watching TV, her multitasking. The cats are also relaxing. Yes, I check. Yes, the tracker works. And what am I doing there? Time to go up. That's the end. Sunday the 15th of October 2023. First summary within a minute or so of what is about 10 minutes of photo trail. And the most important thing was, most of our day was the trip down to Hull Park, open for the National Gardens scheme. Yeah, it was quite a long trip, and June did all the driving because Robin still doesn't have his driving licence. And yeah, so that was it. And yes, Cash, that was an interesting little story in itself, but the photos should show it. So nice map of it, including a few landmarks like the ice house. Yeah, very interesting. And yeah, I think that was the honey bears. And yeah, swings to play on. And hot air balloons, got a glimpse of those. And yeah, back to the car. And of course June doesn't like driving at night, but we did. Popped in to fill up with petrol and get a pizza and a few odds and ends. Joined the Pussycats, put out the Peanuts. They then decide to watch television in the kitchen while I go into the naughty corner, watch the closed circuit TV, like the Foxes coming for the Peanuts over the last 24 hours and occasionally live. They then come into the lounge and watch. Yeah, I know. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photo trail. Yes, there's Bentley on guard duty looking out her front porch. I'm processing a video from the previous day, a bit like one of these, and lady decides to push Bentley off from that position and look out the porch with the robot boat. I thought, yeah, it's getting a bit chilly in here, so I wind the temperature up on the thermostat and radiators seem to be working. So yes, there's the cats, our Toadie, relaxing. I listen to the Radio 4 News. Yeah, mostly sad news coming out of Palestine and Israel at the moment. And that's where they've decided to go. It's Michelle and June want to go there. And yes, I'm a great fan, as June is, of the National Garden Scheme charity. So have a look at that. We're waiting for Michelle to get ready. I just used the opportunity to show all the junk that's in the games room and a glimpse of the garden. Lots of work needed. I'm happy to pay the right amount of money to the right guys to do it, but haven't managed to do that in the last year. And right, so what else do we have here? Yeah, checking the trackers, quite important. From Michelle saying bye bye to Toadie in his fort, and June set up the sat nav on the Google Maps. And yeah, so we're off. There's a few landmarks going through our village here. Sunninghill, past the Mara School, and across Chobham Common, past the monument. Yes. So I didn't catch all the graffiti, but what I did see on bridges amused me, and I got a few glimpses of that. So we're on our way into deepest Kent at some stage. I tend to photograph pubs, which is nice to see them. We're now into hop country, clearly from the architecture of the buildings. Oast House, I think the word is. And looks like we've arrived. So we park the car in the big field, and there's a lovely house, or one of the houses. And yeah, so we go to the obvious place, and it says yes, suggests yes, watch my cameras, but in fact it ended up paying directly to the owner. And yeah, nice maps I picked up. Now by the time I'd sorted out paying for the place, but more importantly chatting to one or two people in the cafe, they'd walked off on what turned out to be a different route. So I thought, right, see if I can intercept them at some point. And so I took a walk round, and the ice house was really interesting. All better be careful don't fall down that. And then what was called Garlic Valley. I assume that garlic was to be found there at some stage. And so yeah, touch base on the phone, and it turns out that they by then had only just reached the ice house, and I think they took a different route round. So I continued on my route, and occasionally I'd meet somebody. That was an interesting one. I think they called that the honey bear or something like that. Bears going up for honey. Lovely bit of architecture, or no architecture, wooden sculpture. And making my way back, I found some spots. I wasn't on the correct route, but still interesting. Then I eventually, yes, found the car. Decided my jacket was a bit warm for my walking. Glimpsed hot air balloons. So I put the jacket in the car. And of course I probably allegedly came up with some story about lost my jacket like I had before. Yeah, so then I catch up with them. There they are. So they're still exploring the gardens, what you call the old formal gardens, I guess, and still glimpses of the hot air balloons. Look as though they're still going up. So we never had a chance to follow up on that. There just wasn't time. But yeah, so basically following them around, and yes, Michelle found a swing. Yeah, so I had to give it a try, and I didn't break it, which has happened before. So carry on the walk around the lovely gardens, and yeah, more glimpses of the hot air balloons. June taking some photos. June's photos would have been much better of things like the hot air balloons. Lovely bit of classical sculpture there. And back to the car in an empty field by then. I consult the paper map. I prefer to see some detail so you get some idea of what is ahead of you. And they all vary, these sat-nav systems. Some of the mapping is pretty poor. Touch base with Samantha to let her know. The tracker will say where we are, but our best guess is when we'd be home, which was around about 8 o'clock in the evening, well after it was dark. So June's doing all the driving she doesn't like in the dark, and we swing into filling station so she can top up with petrol because it was very low, but more importantly also pick up things like pizza to add to the food that we had already, because everybody wanted to eat at home rather than go out. I did suggest I'd treat them. So Samantha's warmed up the oven, and yes, I'm then looking at what was on the tracker, so anybody who was interested would be able to see where we were at any particular time, and just leaving it on that page would see the movement. So that was the walk around the place, and then the drive back, including the diversion, top up with fuel, get a pizza, and then the tracker that's on me. Yes, back home here, and then the SATCOMS tracker that will be going in the robot boat. Anybody can see where we've been over the last 24 hours or more and where we are now, but it's updated less often, but it's working well. And then the spare SATCOMS tracker, that seems to be working too. And what we're doing now, putting out the peanuts. So put them out on the top bridge in the back garden, put them out on the porch and at the front. They're watching television, and there's the pizza. So cut it up and take that into the naughty corner in the lounge. They come in and watch Buffy the Vampire Killer, and I watch the Foxes. Some of those are live, and I'd have to check in detail because they do start arriving late in the evening, and but some are me checking what's happened over the last 24 hours or overnight. There's Toadie come to join me. Yes, they're watching something else now. I don't know what it's called, some rubbish or other. So that's the end of that photo trail. Monday the 16th of October 2023. First a few pictures to give you a flavour of the content. Yes, Pussycats, the robot boat. Yeah, did a little bit of work on that, and not a lot. June played tennis. I checked the tracker, showing she's on her way back. Yes, John came around and we decided to go for a pub grub at the Duke in Sunninghill. Interesting conversations there. and I checked the tracker. Yeah, that shows where we went. I got a phone call. Yes, Mr. Khan. Go back a long time from when he set up the Raj Vuj in the village. A bit more work on the boat, mostly related to the box. Yeah, and they leave, and out go the peanuts, and the foxes come to eat the peanuts, and I listen to the Radio 4 News, joined by pussycats. So now into the photo trailer itself. There's Samantha amongst all that important junk, working from home, and into the back garden, and Robin's naughty corner in the lounge with Lady, Michelle's pussycat. There's the robot boat, and did do a little bit of work, which wasn't much more than putting some paint inside the box. And yeah, so where do you go for a tracker? Well, that tracker shows the SATCOMS tracker that's going into the boat. And yeah, did a bit more work on a day's video, a bit like today's. And yeah, June's back, appears on the closed circuit TV. Yeah, she gets on with whatever she's going to do next. I get a phone call. Oh yes, that's John. Yeah, and we're getting together for a pub grub. So yeah, there's Lady and Sarah on, ready for John. Oh, I wonder when he's going to turn up. Yes. Oh, that was a delivery of stuff, and here's John. And so we decide, yeah, we'll check out the Duke, or the Duke's Head as it used to be called. So we have a pub grub there, and interesting conversations. Yeah, that's the track showing where we went. Yes, that's where we spent the time. And I get a phone call. Yeah, it's Mr. Khan from set up the Raj Vuj many years ago. And yeah, they'll be coming round. Yeah, a bit more work on the boat, mostly putting paint. And of course I made the mistake that the hardener goes off after you've opened it. So learn from these things. Yeah, it looks like Bentley's decided to come over. Michelle brings Toadie down to meet Bentley. Bentley decides to spend time near the fort in the back garden. Yes. Then the weighing machine shows the weight, 13.75 kilos, which is smaller than what is declared it was, but there's extra stuff to go in, like the autopilot and the batteries. And so yeah, oh, there's them looking at property stuff in London. And yes, then Moxie and Selena leave, and Robin puts out the peanuts to last the next 24 hours, including on the bottom bridge, and glimpses of the garden, including the various items in the garden. And yeah, jobs that were done last year and no progress this year because no help from somebody like Paul. But we live in hope. Yeah, so looking at the boat, yeah, question of put some paint inside it. The key thing is, how much will those batteries weigh? Well, half a kilo, so that's fine. Even after adding the batteries and the autopilot, we should be within our target of what the boat has already been in past years. But now we see that the spot guys say yes, you can get those rechargeable batteries, but of course if you get them on Amazon, June pays for it, although she'll probably insist on sending me a PayPal request. So June has rustled up some food. I take it into the naughty corner. They watch the television, but I amuse myself watching the closed circuit TV, and that is a combination of Fox Alight that have arrived eating peanuts in the front porch and in the rear garden in the last 24 hours, but also some of them are appearing live. They come quite early in the evening now, so they're enjoying the peanuts. Hello, Mr. Fox. They're enjoying some rubbish or other on the TV. yeah, my notes about visits, mostly by foxes, and listen to the Radio 4 news. Yes, it's been serious stuff recently. And that's the end of that photo trail. Tuesday the 17th of October 2023, 5 minutes including a 1 minute summary at the start. So yeah, the usual things of women playing tennis and meet up with Chris. And yeah, robot boats was one of the many subjects. Had a meal over at the Red Line at Lightwater, then a visit to Bray Lake. He hadn't been there before, I don't think, and so we had a look round. Of course, it's important what people you meet. Then back home with the pussycats, do a bit of work and put out the peanuts. And what else? Yeah, go into my naughty corner to have a light supper, I suppose, while they watch television. I think that was Buffy the Vampire Slayer or something similar. I see the foxes arriving. That's probably over the last 24 hours. Joined by Michelle's cat lady, and that's the end of the summary. So into the actual photos. Pretty well the same thing but in more detail. Lady, Michelle's pussycat, June getting ready to go off for tennis, just June in the morning. And the interesting thing is the tracker gets tracked even when it's in her handbag and the boot of the car. Anyhow, so she's off. Few things people would have seen before, like the garden sculpture that June got me for a birthday present a couple of years ago now. Samantha working from home amongst all that junk, and sometime I'll get the right paid help to put it in the right places. So that's probably looking at the tracker. Yes, shows her on the court. That was on the public contact page. Then I look at the other tracker, which is on the Snoopy page, and that's the Satcoms tracker. And what else are we looking at here? Chris is arriving on the closed circuit TV, so we go off for a pub lunch and then over to Bray Lake. I took several pictures there, and it was useful to check it again, seeing if anything had changed. And yeah, there's his boat. He didn't get a chance to get it wet this time, but yeah, phone call there. Yeah, booking up the next day, and in fact Chris came with us as well on that one. And yeah, processing of another video like this. And what is that? Yeah, nitty gritty of the robot boat stuff. Hoping that somebody might be able to help on that. Yeah, that's the autopilot. Putting out the peanuts, including the bottom bridge. And yeah, you can see it's getting dark. And glimpses of the garden there. Peanuts in the porch. Well, there is a light in the porch anyhow. And June says, "Oi, you've got to pay me for those Energizer rechargeable batteries that I got on her Amazon account." And they'll be going into the spot trackers. And what else? Yes. Now, they're off to tennis again, but this time it is both June and Samantha off to ladies' social tennis. So they're off for that. And yeah, that's the tracker that is in June's car. So there, yeah, that's all inside the boot of the car. They go off. So yeah, the tracker seems to be working. I had my supper there, if you call it that, whatever it was. And yeah, the tracker works, show them on the courts. And then the other tracker is the Satcoms tracker, and that is also good. I have a bit of a doze, along with Toadie, our pussycat. Yeah, what's the time? Yeah, then they get back, they're watching, I think it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer or something similar. I make a few notes of what's happened over the last 24 hours or so on the closed circuit TV. Look at the foxes, particularly at the front porch, and that one's a regular visitor. and also on the rear garden on the top bridge. And I noticed something there, but didn't get a chance to say what it was. Anyhow, that was at that time. 2 foxes at the same time. So that must be getting near the end. I looked as I did a bit more. Oh yes, that was something email Richard said prompted me to look at that old video of the poppy dog. And yeah, getting time to go to bed. So that's the end of that photo trail. Wednesday the 18th of October 2023. Yeah, problems with my camera and the connector which connects it to the PC. And other things, yeah, Alan in Shenzhen gave some good help on trying to get waypoints into the maps on the tracker software. And it was pub lunch day, and Stuart drove because Robin still doesn't have his driving licence, and I went to the Cricketers, the beef eater at Bagshot, and yeah, enjoyed lunch and conversation. We had Chris with us again. I say again, it was the first time he'd met those guys. And there's the tracker. That was one of the topics of conversation. And the guys leave after coffee here. And a company into surf prediction contacted me, and the subject was that old attempt years ago. Yes, and ended the day watching the foxes, and that's the end of that photo trail. Well, no, this is now the actual photo trail. That was the summary. So yes, having problems, and that was eventually diagnosed as being the connector. But I got a good email, very clear, from Alan in Shenzhen on how to add places onto a map, and I made some progress on that. That work's still outstanding, but at least we made some good progress. And that is the track of the visit. And there's Alan. He's on the web pages. And right, Cricketers at Bagshot, so just down the road. And yes, anybody could see where I was with the tracker. Yeah. And so ready for the lads arriving. And of course the important guy is Stuart, for many reasons, including his driving at the moment, because yeah, Richard as well, neighbours. So we get there, doesn't take more than a few minutes, and in fact Chris, who I'd had lunch with the day before, joins us. So these guys met for the first time, and yeah, enjoyed my meal, then back here, and yeah, rustle up the coffee for them and some bickies if they're interested, conversations, and one of the topics I suppose was the tracking, but that was just background. So enjoyable conversations. And what else happens? Yeah, Samantha working from home, June watching the tennis. And that was interesting. That guy who contacted us basically is in the business of surf prediction, but what he found was that attempt years ago. So it's time to put the peanuts out and listen to the Radio 4 news. Yeah, serious news, of course. And yeah, they're watching the tennis. I take my light, whatever you call it, dinner. And yes, I found a workaround, which was to take the SD card out of the camera, and that works. So that was a means of getting the video off the camera. But then I found after that it was boring stuff they choose to watch. And yeah, the foxes, and they were just outside at the time. That was live. There they were, eating the peanuts just the other side of the window. Then I check over the last night's visits, both before midnight and after, and yes, there's the peanut It's been eaten by the fox coming to the doorstep, which is well lit, and also of course the top bridge just outside. And the women are continuing to watch the TV. Michelle's cat Lady is with me, and I did a very brief little bit of job of wiping some paint that was still wet from the box, and that pretty well wraps up. That was it. So that's the end of that photo trail. Thursday the 19th of October 2023. First about a minute summary of what is about 8 minutes of photos taken on that day. Yes, the pussycats, including our Toadie, and yeah, a little bit of work on the boat. Bid for a camera, but didn't win it actually, somebody overbid me. And what else? Oh yes, we're ready to take Michelle off, but she decided to do some more work on the plumbing. Meanwhile, Lady prowled around. Yeah, I checked the difference with the rain, observed and predicted, and yeah, looks as though we eventually took Michelle to the Ascot railway station, and she called her train, got on, and yeah, checked the good prediction of when she'd get there, about 10 p.m, and had a look at the foxes, took my food through, and yeah, time for bed, but Toadie hung around in his box in the kitchen. So now into the full photo trail. So this is early on in the day. The pussycats just about get on with each other, and Toadie quite likes his cardboard box in the kitchen, particularly I suppose if it's wet and cold outside. And a little bit of work on the boat, not very much, and Lady relaxing. I found that the blog was quite useful in terms of old photographs, in terms of where some of the internal labels went, so gradually progressing that. Yes, put the tools back in the right place, including June's scissors in her sewing box. Yes, all the junk that somebody may be able to help us clear up. Yes, a bit more on the boat. Yeah, looks like a lunch. And that camera, that's the old camera, a good camera, and of course, which is the Thames Hospice. In fact, I phoned to just check where it might be, where the camera was. But anyhow, I lost that bid as it turned out, despite raising my bid. Yes, so we're still waiting for Michelle, who's decided to do some more, and Lady is prowling around the garden. Yes, quite enjoys it down here. Yeah, looking around. So just a few photos here. And what we got here? Oh yes. So where is Toadie? Yes, he's in his cat fort. The magazine. Yes, make sure we get our copy. And yes, it belted down with rain, despite the prediction saying no, forecast it wasn't. So that's just a matter of a very easy, believe it or not, change. Obviously, only if the rain radar data is available. So there's the cats, including Toadie. I managed to do a little bit of unblocking of the water drainage down into our ponds, and yeah, so it's all a matter of work that we need help with. Michelle's still carrying on with the plumbing work. I have a bit of a doze, but not for very long. So does that look as though Michelle is ready to go? Yes, she's putting her tools back where they were, And yeah, looks as though we're getting ready now. And Toadie's this.
You have new email.
Sorry about that, going on in the background. And yes, so in fact I can see what that was. That was the car moving, and that was because June's just arrived. Anyhow, yeah, so yeah, there we are on our way back to Ascot Station. Yeah, that confused me. Yeah, so waiting for the correct train, and there it is. I think that's her train, so she's able to get on the train with Cat Lady. So back to the car, June driving. Of course I still don't have my driving licence from the DVLA. And back home, and what have we here? Not a lot really. Oh yes, that's the Spot Satcoms tracker that's going in the boat, showing correctly the visit to where the car went. And then my other tracker, which anybody can look at, is the pendant tracker, and yes, that seemed to work as it should do. Yeah, including the trip to the station and back. Difference is it's updated far more often, several times a minute. Yes, tennis on the television, boring. June's rustling up some food. Check the Google Maps for his prediction of travelling by public transport, including walking from the train station, and that looked a pretty realistic prediction, indicating Michelle would be home about 10 p.m. in the evening. I put out the peanuts, our usual routine, peanuts for any wildlife, and sure enough there's foxes that had come overnight, so I started that closed circuit TV check. Then June has rustled up the food, so I take mine into my naughty corner in the lounge and continue the closed circuit TV checks. Yes, there's the fox coming for the peanuts on the front porch, and also on the rear garden on the top bridge. And Michelle comes in and watches something, whatever that was, Buffy the Vampire Slayer or something like that. And yeah, I carry on the closed circuit TV checks, make a few notes. Yes, boring. Oh, might I go down to the Comrade Club? Let's look at the rain prediction. No, I don't think so. Looks as though we're going to get a lot of rain, so no, I won't take that walk down to the village and get wet. So what I'm going to do here, yes, Toadie has decided to come in as well. Shut down the PCs, time to go up, and that's the end of the photo trail. Friday the 20th of October 2023, subjects overlap. This is a minute summary of what is 10 minutes or so of photo trail. Yes, so we took a trip into Maidenhead for a couple of reasons. The main reason was to Thames Hospice, their warehouse, but we swung past the hospice itself as well. And yeah, Bray Lake, important for Snoopy's robot boat. Here the tracker shows the movements, including the Bray Lake and the waypoints they put in. Did a bit of work on the cameras, both cameras, including doing a bodge helped by June, and all of that in the photo trail. And ordered cables for the other camera, yes, on June's account. Put out the peanuts at the back end of the day for the foxes. Yes, there they are, appearing on closed circuit TV. June watches something boring on television. I go down to the Comrades Club, force myself to have a glass of wine, check out the tracker, go back, and what's next? yeah, June's watching the television. I listen to the Radio 4 news, serious news at the moment, and time for bed. So now into the photo trail itself. Yes, did a bit of work on the video of the previous day, a bit like this one, and yeah, Toadie decides to join me in the lounge, taking it easy. I put in a bid and rebid for a camera of the old type I was been using that broke at Thames Hospice, and we decided to take a trip in to check out the camera in the warehouse, and also see the people, but also pop into the Italian continental stores to get some Sicilian food we like. And yeah, there's the website, was business years ago. There's one of the trackers, there's the other tracker. These are the Spot Satcoms tracker, the type that we use on the boat, and then my tracker, pendant tracker. And of course anybody can see where these are just by clicking on the right images. So this looks like our journey through Holyport village, including the Booper home that my mother stayed in, and then into Maidenhead and to the eBay part of Thames Hospice and the warehouse. And that was a very useful visit from several points of view, mostly the people we met. Oh yes, and then on to the Italian shop in the continental stores, and I picked up a newspaper, Italian newspaper, past a few landmarks like the police station, that looks like Bray Village, and making our way now to basically Bray Lake and the Thames Hospice. So we took a few pictures out the back. Anybody can pause the video if they're interested in the details. Lovely building that's been put up in the last several years, and the footpath, public footpath, runs around the lake and adjacent to the hospice, and you can get a view across the lake to the Bray Lake Water Sports, and where Snoopy's robot boats have been tested for many years. And yeah, so now making our way back through Fifield and getting near Ascot. Yes, work going on there by the look of it. Through Ascot High Street and past the racecourse. W.H. Smith, yes, I decided to stop there and pick up some pens, both the Uniball pens that I've been using for years, mostly for notes in my diary and other ones, but also some other ones, different brand, W.H. Smith brand, made in China of course. Back home, check out the tracker. Yes, that showed the details of the route, including the visits to the warehouse of Thames Hospice and to Bray Lake, and there's those waypoints for Snoopy's robot boat testing. They need to be adjusted to be exact positions. Then look on the Spot Satcoms tracker. Yes, that showed the visit to the hospice properly. Then a little bit of work on the camera that I'd bid for unsuccessfully. Perhaps I can fix the old one. And I had used sellotape. Then I tried duct tape, but that didn't work because that also didn't want to stick onto the metal of the camera. So I thought, perhaps something else. So of course they're chasing off for tennis, and June has the white tracker. Yes, there's the website that's been there for years. It was business. Now take a closer look at the Uniball, proudly made in Japan. Well, that's what it says, and it might still be. But then the W.H. Smith brand, of course, cheaper, made in China. That's a surprise. That's it. I don't know what that means. Never mind. But yeah, looking at June's tracker, yeah, that shows them at tennis. And looking at that Sony camera, that's the one I was bidding for, and when Ju gets back she helps me find another bodge, different one, but making a small hole through the plastic, and that seems to work. But what have we got here? Yes, that's the other camera, the camera I'm currently using. And yeah, so I order on eBay some replacement leads, because we've basically got 3 or 4 leads at least, and they've all failed, practically failed. And of course I ordered a couple on June's Amazon account. So right, time to put out the peanuts. Yeah, including the bottom bridge, and so, and on the front porch, which is far more visible because it's lit. And yet the light on Snoopy's rowboat boat was lit at that time because it got enough sun earlier in the day to keep going for at least an hour or two. And back inside, yes, Toadie relaxes in the lounge while I do a bit of work looking at the closed circuit TV. Call it work? Yes. For example, at 2:23 in the morning there was a fox on the bottom bridge, sorry, the top bridge in the back garden, and also we've got a fox visiting for peanuts in the porch. And sometimes these the same fox or several at the same time. Looks like dinner has been called, so I go in, pick up my dinner, but take it back into the lounge in my naughty corner so that I can eat that while I'm checking other things like the closed circuit TV. Yeah, so there we go, 7:30 in the morning, and we had foxes at the front, on the front porch, and 2 foxes at the same time on the top bridge in the back garden. And that's only yards from our back window or patio door. Yeah, I looked at the weather. Yeah, it looks as though it was going to be dry. What's that? Boring stuff that Jude's watching. Don't know what it is. And so time for me to go out. Looks as though it'll be dry for my walk down the village. Yes, that light's working well. Walk down to the village, into the Comrades Club. Yeah, the later photograph came out better. Have a glass of wine and check out the tracker on the smartphone. Yeah, I do occasionally use one. And yeah, so that seemed to be working. Anybody interested? Robin looks as though he's in the Comrades Club. And it looked as though it was the Kiwis thrashing the Argentinians, even though I've got friends in both places. So back home, yes, the light has gone out now because it did go for very long. Listen to the Radio 4 news, which is obviously serious news from Gaza places. Time for bed, and that's the end of that photo trail. Saturday the 21st of October 2023, 8 minutes of photos including this minute summary. Yes, the usual thing, checking trackers and the weather forecast including cloud cover, and taking a look at how we'll plug in those photographs of Gary and Saskia's wedding into the pages, including the family page. So, and that came up in the chat later, video WhatsApp chat. So put out the peanuts, yes, in the garden, and yeah, package arrived on Amazon, cables to fix one of the cameras, and yeah, found a lovely photo taken years ago that I hadn't seen before, family picture. So seeing the foxes, and what else is there? Oh yes, I took my walk down to the, forced myself to have a glass of wine and meet a new friend, Ray. And what else? yeah, made my way back. By then it was approaching midnight, but it turned out okay. So time for bed. Now into the actual photo trail. So first thing in the morning, yeah, processing of the previous day video. The women arrived back from their morning tennis, and yeah, thought check out the tracker that's been in June's handbag and in her boot of the car, but it didn't show it moving from home, probably because of where it was. However, the other tracker, the Satcom's tracker, which is more visible in the car, that worked fine. Then I looked at the weather forecast. The cloud cover showed it cloudy, and yet it was clear sky with a bit of cloud. You can't predict everything. So yeah, looking around the garden here, and yeah, some of the garden projects which went well last year haven't made any progress this year. Oh yes, the neighbourhood watch survey. Yes, I gave a bit of feedback and also checked out the company that was doing all this work for the police and gathering a lot of information. Interesting guys. I remember checking them out years ago, and nothing's hidden on the net. Right, yes, arancini that we picked up yesterday, so something to eat. That was my lunch, I think. Then spent a little bit of time looking for where we would plug in the material, lovely photos and the odd bit of video from the wedding. So I looked at the last wedding, which is years ago now, and looked at that, and yeah, that's fine. That's been changed for years. And then of course the new material. So those are in the photo trail that's on YouTube. I know that YouTube video might be part of what we put up. Yeah, so I looked at the pictures and I couldn't find that group photo in the photo trail. However, June found it very quickly on the smartphone and said, oh yes, it's so many minutes and seconds into the YouTube video, just there. So no problem, it's there. So in other words, anybody could look at it if they've got any wishes regarding it, like their face fuzzed out, for example. Not likely. So time to put the peanuts out, a bit earlier than normal, but at least it's light so you can see back garden, including garden features, what a state it's in. That's the least of the work to do. Yes, there's the alligator, I think that's what it is, rather than a crocodile, not sure. And yeah, putting out the peanuts, still out the front, that is. Yeah, and yes, a glimpse of the camper with its battle damage. Oh yes, there was a delivery on the doorstep, and that was cables for one of the old cameras, which was the only problem, the cable. And I bought it on June's Amazon account. Yeah, worked fine, so that's good. And that was the old cable, which I labelled, which was okay for charging but not for getting the photos and video off. So, oh dear, more adverts from AOL. Yes, yeah, June has sent me a PayPal request because I'd used their Amazon account. Oh yes, but it wasn't just those cables, it was stuff I'd ordered earlier, things like stickers for the boats, and yes, there's the USB. Yes, I've sent the money to June. Yeah, what you've got to do, you've got to do it. Toadie's joined us in the lounge. Oh, the video WhatsApp chat has started. Yes, Toadie was part of it. Michelle likes the pussycats to chat to each other. And that was a lovely old photo that Sally must have taken years ago, and she sent it by WhatsApp, and I didn't have it in my files here. Yeah, I took a glance at the Italian newspaper. Different perspective on things. Picked that up from the Continental Stores Italian shop. Yeah, it looks like time for June has rustled up some food. I took it into the naughty corner in the lounge while they eat in the kitchen, listen to the Radio 4 news, make a few notes from anything interesting happening, like the foxes visiting to eat the peanuts on the front porch. Yes, hello Mr. Fox. And through till when it was light and more. Yes, there's the top bridge, just yards from where our patio door window is. And what else? Yes, June's decided to watch whatever that is. And yeah, boring. Yes, but what's happening right now, but right there live, is a fox just outside the window. Yeah. So, looks like everybody's happy there. June watching the TV. I decide to go out past the robot boat and that light, which is getting enough sunlight to charge it up. Have I walk down to the village, into the Sunninghill Comrades Club, have a glass of wine, meet a new friend Ray, and I had a second glass as well, a small one. Check out the tracker. Yes, anybody could see where Robin was in the Comrades Club, and go back. Of course, it's approaching midnight by the time I got back into the house. It wasn't that long behind June actually when I did go up. Yeah, so I had to shut down all the PCs. There are 10 to midnight, and so that's the end of that photo trail. I warned you they would be long photo trails, but what I'll do now is go back in order to provide a little bit of continuity into the material that was shot several months ago but still applies. And yes, I think we started from about here. Now what I put on the screen, because global warming is rearing itself, it's something that's been on my grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert, shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels, to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelock said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired happy and spending that kid's inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet, because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case, and resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world, not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Lovelock launched his Snoop Loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes.
That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worry for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request, but when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV, and relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money, and there are probably other things as well, but as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded, we've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday, that'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me whittering on, which is one of my main weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha. The microwave was invented by James Lovelock, if you didn't know. And here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon. And into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera. Not expensive. And through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have.